months of about 4 months of efforts. And whereas in the Sukhna basin, we had massive flooding because of encroachment. And 250 crores, excess of 250 crores were assessed as damages that the government of Maharashtra had to pay to the citizens because of this. Aurangabad, jaise maine kaha, is also blessed with an ancient network that led to the establishment of the city. These are on the lines of Persian Kanats that till today, 422 साल के बाद भी स्वच्छ जल आज शहर को विभिन्न भागों में पहुंचाते हैं. And we, along with help from Namami Gange and the Ministry of Jal Shakti, have been recently recognized as Jal Itihas, and we are also looking to the rejuvenation of these aspects. Aurangabad is also the smart cities, part of the smart cities mission, and not only about river rejuvenation. This idea rekindled the imagination, and today we have a host of different solutions that are addressing various aspects, right from municipal water supply through municipal water scheduling to a comprehensive wastewater agenda and decarbonization of our water supplies. Together with the World Bank, we are using the treated water of our sewage treatment plants to supply to areas of a small village called Zalta, where more than 100 farmers are benefiting and able to do agriculture on this treated water. This is our scale-up plan. We have about 4 STPs. I'll just come to that. And we are pioneering what is today called as the Purple Revolution in Aurangabad. Now, what are the lessons in our experience that we would like to give to other cities? It is never about the money. It is about your passion, will, commitment and dedication. हमारे पास अगर JCB और earth mover नहीं था, the Honorable Municipal Commissioner and our team used to call up CREDAI, which is an association of real estate developers, take machinery on loan from them at zero cost. The municipal budget already has mechanisms to fill diesel because all municipal corporations have a mechanical department. We used to supply them the supervision and work used to happen. Like the Director Namami Gange yesterday really rightly pointed out that well begun is half done. Even today, as a municipal authority, if you do not have a dedicated funding mechanism through innovation and intelligent financing mechanisms, one can harness funds that are available through various sources within the 15 Finance Commission, that are available as CAMPA funds, district disaster management funds, and we've been utilizing all of these mechanisms to help restore the river. We also work very closely with all agencies, industry bodies, the Indian Army, local police, और सबको साथ लेते हुए हमने इस मुहिम को अंजाम दिया. Yes, sir. I'm just concluding. We are on the last slide. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Start off your projects. Learn as you go. Look for convergences, not only within resources, but also existing schemes. And have an all of government and society approach. Inspire and cultivate leadership. And I'll just come to that most important point. And believe despite all odds. This is a kind of collaborative effort that we've been able to put together for our river rejuvenation effort. And this is the most interesting photograph. We have a dedicated team of about 10 people that we call the Special Task Force. Every morning, our Assistant Commissioner, who's formerly a Senior Sanitary Inspector, with 1 earth mover and 10 people, 10 मीटर हर रोज नदी को डीपन किया जाता है, पिच किया जाता है और आगे बढ़ते रहते हैं. The rock that you are seeing is used for pitching comes from excavation of existing sites where work is going on. This is not virgin rock. And throughout the project, we've been able to innovate on such things that do not call for money to be an impediment on our progress. और सबसे आखिर में ये संदेश हम सभी को देना चाहेंगे कि काम जरूर मुश्किल होगा, लेकिन वही काम करने योग्य होता है, क्योंकि आसान कार्य तो हम सभी करते हैं. जय हिंद. आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. जय महाराष्ट्र.
धन्यवाद आदित्य. I'm extremely inspired by your enthusiasm and your will to deliver results. Very nice. See, as you said, it's not about money, honey. It's about your dedication. We have seen a lot of people delivering good results, not waiting for the money to come, because money always comes in. There's absolutely no problem with that. And very innovative solutions they have taken up, and probably Maharashtra is blessed, Aurangabad again is blessed with a lot of industries out there. So there may be a lot of people who can fund their projects, and the innovation of using the bulldozers and the JCBs of the agencies with the diesel and petrol filled in by the administration was one of the very successful model which the Maharashtra government had done about 4-5 years back. Very, very successfully done. Thanks. So I think Aditya should also join the next session on finance, because he can also give some ideas on the financing part of it. So very, very well done, and wealth of information from you. Thank you, Ramesh. Now we go to Gwalior. Deputy Municipal Commissioner Shishir Srivastava is here. Fantastic. Gwalior also has done phenomenal work, and probably we'll have some surprise in the afternoon on Gwalior. Thank you.
ग्वालियर बहुत सारे काम कर चुके हैं, लेकिन आज हम एक छोटा सा काम बस डिस्प्ले करेंगे, क्योंकि मैं वाटर मैनेजमेंट में डील करता हूँ। रिवर कंजर्वेशन के काम मेरे यहाँ हो चुके हैं, और कुछ नमामि गंगे से मुरार नदी रिजर्वेशन का काम चल रहा है। स्वर्णरेखा का काम ऑलरेडी हो चुका है, और वाटर मैनेजमेंट में रीयूज़ ऑफ वाटर का काम बहुत सारे हो चुके हैं। लेकिन आज हम एक बहुत अच्छा सा एक डिस्प्ले करेंगे यहाँ की ग्वालियर ने जो काम किया है। मैं पिछले 3-4 साल से उस पर बहुत अच्छे से वर्क कर रहा हूँ, वो सक्सेसफुली काम हो चुका है। छोटी सी कहानी से शुरू करते हैं, और स्लाइड दिखा के हम बंद कर लेंगे 5-7 मिनट में। इस सृष्टि की रचना किसने की थी? जिसने भी की थी तो वो एक प्रॉपर सिस्टम बनाया था, जो हर घर में बनाया जाता है, अपने घर मैनेजमेंट में बनाते हैं, उसकी तरह पृथ्वी की भी एक सृष्टि की रचना की थी। उस रचना में ये था कि ब्रह्मा जी ने, अगर मानते हैं कि पृथ्वी की रचना की थी, तो हर प्राणी के लिए कुछ ना कुछ उन्होंने डिज़ाइन किया होगा कि कैसे उसको, जो पृथ्वी पे रहेंगे या जो पेड़ पौधे हैं, वो कैसे जीवित होंगे। इसी के तहत उन्होंने पानी का एक सिस्टम बनाया था कि वर्षा का जल उन्होंने डिज़ाइन किया था कि वर्षा का जल पृथ्वी पे आएगा, और पृथ्वी के जो रहने वाले लोग हैं वो उस पानी को वो रीयूज़ करेंगे। उस यूज़ करते हुए कि वो उसको स्टोर करेंगे, रीयूज़ करेंगे, सारे चीज़ों को डिज़ाइन किया था। कोई उन्होंने स्टोरेज टैंक, ऊपर जब हवाई जहाज से जाते हैं तो कोई सिंटेक्स के टैंक अपन ने देखे नहीं है ऊपर लगे हुए, कि वो पानी अपन ने नल खोला, पानी आएगा अपने आप। जब अब हमारे सारी जो सभ्यता बसी थी, कहते हैं कि नदियों के किनारे बसी थी, लेकिन अर्बनाइजेशन और पॉपुलेशन बढ़ने के कारण हम नदी से दूर होते गए। फिर भी हमारे पूर्वजों ने क्या किया? पूर्वजों ने हमारे ये किया कि उसकी जगह उन्होंने पॉन्ड्स बनाए, बहुत बड़े बड़े पॉन्ड्स बनाए, और वो पानी को वो उसमें स्टोर करते थे, पानी को स्टोर करते थे, दैन वो रीयूज़ करते थे उस पानी को। लेकिन फिर अर्बनाइजेशन और पॉपुलेशन बढ़ी, पॉन्ड्स को हमने काटना शुरू किया, फिर हम आ गए छोटे छोटे कुएँ और स्टेप वेल्स पे, बावड़ीज़ पे आए। स्टेप वेल्स पे आए, धीरे धीरे हमारी वो भी जगह बढ़ती गई, उसमें भी हमारे प्लॉटिंग के लिए वो कीमती हो गई जगह, तो हमने उसमें भी प्लॉट काटना शुरू करे, वो भी बंद कर दिए। फिर हम आए धरती पे नीचे आए हैं कि धरती के नीचे एक पानी का एक्वाफायर के लिए हमने एक्वाफायर को सिलेक्ट करना शुरू किया। मैं एनवायरमेंटल से थोड़ा सा रिलेटेड जरूर हूँ, लेकिन जियो में नहीं जानता हूँ। लेकिन एक्वाफायर को यूज़ करना, मतलब मैं समझता हूँ कि पीने के पानी के लिए मैं नहीं मानता कि वो यूज़फुल है। ट्यूबवेल का पानी जो हम पीते हैं वो हमारे लिए बिल्कुल भी यूज़फुल नहीं है। हमें सरफेस वाटर को ही यूज़ करना चाहिए, उसको ट्रीट करके ही यूज़ करना चाहिए, उसको स्टोर करके यूज़ करना। हमारे पूर्वजों ने बहुत सारे एफर्ट्स लगाए हैं, बहुत सारे चीज़ें उसमें डिज़ाइन की हैं कि कैसे करें। ग्वालियर में लगभग 6000 कूड़े बावड़ीज़ को उन्होंने कितने साल के लिए डिज़ाइन किया हुआ कि वो पानी वहाँ स्टोर होता था, वो रीयूज़ करते थे। लेकिन वही हुआ कि आज की डेट में लगभग सारे कुएं बावड़ी पे प्लॉट कट गए हैं और मकान बिल्डिंग्स बनी हुई हैं। और लेकिन म्यूनसिपल कॉरपोरेशन ग्वालियर और इनिशिएटिव हमने लिया, जबकि उसको हमने 30,000 कुएं बावड़ी को जियो मैपिंग करा दी है। वो मैं आपको शो करता हूँ कि कैसे हमने चीज़ें की हैं। ग्वालियर का डिटेलिंग है, हम जनरली क्योंकि समय की बहुत कमी है और स्लाइड्स ज़्यादा हैं तो मैं सारी चीज़ें स्किप भी करता जाता हूँ। ग्वालियर में जो रेनफॉल है वो एवरेज रेनफॉल है 700 mm। सारी सिटी एक बहुत अच्छा सा काम, एक इंजन का एक काम करते हैं कि जितना पानी जिस सिटी में बरसता है अगर उसको वहाँ स्टोर कर लिया जाए तो वो 50 किलोमीटर 80 किलोमीटर से दूसरी जगह से पानी लाने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। और बिल्कुल भी इसको, ये बिल्कुल भी साइंटिफिक भी नहीं है कि हम इतना पानी दूसरी जगह से ला रहे हैं। आपके एरिया में जितना पानी बरसता है उसको आप स्टोर कर लीजिए और आप वही रीयूज़ करेंगे, कहीं किसी भी ज़रूरत नहीं है। ग्वालियर का म्यूनसिपल एरिया है 425 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर। अगर हम अगले 200 साल तक भी पॉपुलेशन का ग्रोथ का इंक्रीमेंटल करते जाएं तब तक पानी, अगर उस पानी को हम अपने शहर से नहीं जाने दें तो वो पानी हमारे लिए यूज़ हो सकता है। उसी के तहत हमने कुछ कुएं बॉडीज़ को रिचार्ज करना शुरू किया है। ये हमारी सम ऑफ वाटर बॉडीज़ हैं जो हमने रिज्यूनेट कर ली। ये हम बहुत, जब हम ग्वालियर में इनवाइट करेंगे सबको तो वहाँ दिखाएंगे, बहुत सारे सब्जेक्ट हैं जिसको हमने, ये जो वाटर बॉडी एक ब्लू कलर में दिख रही है, ये हम एक सीवर ट्रीटेड वाटर से हम इसको वो पानी को इसमें पानी डालते हैं और 10,000 रुपीज़ हमारी डेली की रेवेन्यू आती है, इससे बोटिंग होती है इसमें। ये बैजा ताल एक एरिया कहलाता है। वन ऑफ वाटर बॉडीज़ है सागर ताल, जिसमें हम, और ऐसी काफ़ी बॉडी हैं जिसको हम वाटर बॉडीज़ को रिज्यूनेट भी कर चुके हैं और उसको रीयूज़ में भी ले रहे हैं। वही जो मैं पहले डिस्कस कर चुका हूँ कि एक्वाफायर में ट्यूबवेल का यूज़ क्यों नहीं करना चाहिए। मैं अपनी तरफ से समझता हूँ कि उसकी गैसेस और हीट जो पृथ्वी को बॉन्ड करे हुए हैं वो उस पृथ्वी के सरफेस पे नहीं आए, इसीलिए हमने उसको ब्लॉक किया। तो हमें ग्राउंड वाटर को ही यूज़ करना चाहिए जो कि लगभग हर जगह 60-70 फीट के आसपास रहता है। और हमारे पूर्वजों ने उसको, कुओं को बनाया इसीलिए था कि वो 60-70 फीट से ज़्यादा कभी नहीं होते थे कुएँ और स्टेप वेल्स, तो वो पानी को हमें रीयूज़ करना था। हमने कैसे किया कुएं बावड़ियों को? पहले हमने पूरे 60, हमारे यहाँ 66 वार्ड्स हैं, उनकी एक मैपिंग की हम उन्होंने, और एक मैपिंग करने के बाद एक ऐप डेवलप किया हमने। उस ऐप के थ्रू हमने सारी वाटर बॉडीज़ को सिलेक्ट किया कि जितनी भी वाटर बॉडीज़ हैं हर एरिया में, हर वार्ड में कितनी वाटर बॉडीज़ हैं, फिज़िकली सर्वे किया। फिज़िकली सर्वे करने के बाद हमने उस वाटर बॉडी को मैं उसकी जो पॉइंट्स थे उनको है कि वीडियो फॉर ऑल रिकॉर्डिंग ऑफ उनकी फ़ोटोग्राफ, 5 एंगल से फ़ोटोग्राफ ले लिए हैं, जिससे कि कोई भी वाटर बॉडी आगे कोई भी क्लेम करे कि ये वाटर बॉडी यहाँ नहीं थी तो मेरे पास रिकॉर्डेड है कि उसके बाद हमने इसमें इसको जियो टैग कर दिया है। तो मेरे पास पूरी हर वाटर बॉडी की जियो टैगिंग है कि मैं आपको मैपिंग पे भी दिखा सकता हूँ। ये मेरी साइट पे भी आप जाके इसको ट्रैक कर सकते हैं हर वाटर बॉडीज़ को। लोकेशन, एरिया, डायमीटर, डेप्थ, वाटर लेवल और सारी चीज़ें हमने उसमें इंक्लूड की हैं कि वाटर बॉडी गवर्नमेंट की है कि प्राइवेट है, उसमें क्या क्या चीज़ें हो सकती हैं, वो सारी चीज़ें हमने उसमें, ये हमने मैपिंग कर ली है सारी चीज़ों को। ये हमारी एक्सेल सीट पे अवेलेबल है, सारा डाटा एक्सेल सीट पे अवेलेबल है, हर चीज़ का उसमें डाटा अवेलेबल है। ये हमने कुछ बॉडीज़ और उनको हमने जो कंडीशंस थी आप देख रहे हैं, ये स्टेबल है, इसको हमने जो भी है, सबसे बड़ा फ़ायदा है कि हमने रिचार्ज करके इन बावड़ियों में पानी लाना शुरू कर दिया है। अभी हमने 50 कुओं में पानी ला दिया और बहुत अच्छा सा पानी उसमें अभी अवेलेबल है, पूरे होल ईयर रहता है। कंडीशन आप देखेंगे बावड़ियों की क्या इस समय है। ये सारी कंडीशनों को हमने क्या किया है, बहुत छोटा सा फॉर्मूला, मैं छोटा सा बस ख़त्म कर रहा हूँ। मैं जितने भी कुएँ आपके यहाँ अवेलेबल हों उसके आसपास बिल्डिंग्स जरूर बनी होंगी। छत के पानी को लाइए, एक किट मैं अभी दिखाता हूँ, एक वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग किट है जो, क्योंकि छतों पे भी गंदगी आ सकती है और टायर अपन बैटरी की छत पे रख देते हैं, तो उसके लिए एक फ़िल्टर के थ्रू कुछ नहीं, बस पानी को सीधा कनेक्ट कर दीजिए वेल में, और वेल में आप जब कनेक्ट, ये फ़िल्टर किट है, इस फ़िल्टर किट में आपके थ्रू आप इस पानी को कुएँ में कनेक्ट कर दीजिए और नीचे जब कुएं को साफ करें तो कुएं के बॉटम में जब तक रेत एक आ जाती है छोटी सी, जहाँ तक जाइएगा नीचे तक, तो उसमें जब जाएंगे तो वो अपने आप थोड़े दिन में, जब एक बरसात का पानी आ जाएगा तो उसकी झिर आराम से खुल जाती है और उसके बाद पानी उसमें बनना शुरू हो जाता है। ये हमारे प्रोजेक्ट में कोशिश करें कि उस कुएं को कम्प्लीटली जाली से बंद ना करें, MS सीट से या किसी उससे कम्प्लीटली बंद कर दें, क्योंकि उसमें वो एक सिराने का काम कहते हैं, मालाएं और वो राख डालने का काम हमारे यहाँ बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़ होता है, तो कोशिश करें इसको बंद कर दें। हमने इस पानी को, कुओं को बंद किया, उसमें
फिर हम इसको आपका ऑनलाइन ट्रेनिंग करा देंगे, अभी आपका करा देंगे, ठीक है।
तो मैंने इसमें एक वाटर फिल्टर लगा के, इसको पानी को लगा के हमने उसको रीयूज ऑफ वाटर कर दिया, तो सीधा द कंडीशन ऑफ वेल्स, ये सारे काम हो चुके हैं और उसके बाद भी बहुत सारे काम हैं, क्योंकि टाइम की बहुत शॉर्टेज है, तो मैं सबको इनवाइट भी करूंगा कि ग्वालियर में आएँ, और बहुत सारे प्रोजेक्ट्स मेरे चल रहे हैं, तो वो भी हम देखेंगे।
थैंक यू शिशिर। तो वेरी गुड। तो औरंगाबाद को हमने बोला कि वेल बिगन वाज हाफ डन, ग्वालियर को बोल देंगे वेल डन, काफ़ी वेल से उन्होंने किया है, बहुत अच्छा, extremely good. See, one point again I would like to add here is we should not reinvent the wheel every time, because we have आपने अच्छा काम किया, but we have been as a part of the Cash the Rain campaign, app was developed and sub municipal commissioners को भी share किया था to give this all this information, all the wells, water bodies in your area, their health, their conditions, the boundaries, geotagging, photos, सब कुछ किया था. Almost 17-18 lakh photographs उसमें है. I can tell you that it's jsctr.mow.gov.in है, वो हम share कर लेंगे. So let us pool the resources, because every time नए application develop करने से, आपका application अच्छा है तो वो use करेंगे. So let us start using shared applications. आप अपने ऊपर अपना logo लगा सकते हैं. All these things can be done, but once there is a uniformity of applications and database, much easier, because when we try to collect this information as the part of the Cash the Rain campaign, we found that every state has this database, but we could not talk to each other, because everybody had different databases, where they had different field names, different way of presenting it. So once we tried to put all these things in one database, now things are all, it's getting good shape. So let us have one country, one language, not in the real linguistic language, but digital language to talk to each other, so that there can be a good database. Thanks a lot. Again, well done. Correct, we'll do it, I think. Because I found that many people, again, Maharashtra का जो app है वो पूरा मराठी में था, so we had a tough time converting. We had to generate this application to convert that into English and put it anyway. Now we have Moradabad, another very important municipality. They have taken a lot of work. Moradabad is famous for many things. You know, it's actually a lot of industries are also there. Sanjay Chavan, extremely, I visited his place, and I visited also, attended the Chowpals. People are also very motivated and enthused about it. Sanjay.
नमामि गंगे तव पाद पंकजम सुरय असुरैर्व वंदित दिव्य स्वरूपम भुक्तिम च मुक्तिम च ददासि नित्यम भावानुसारेण सदा नराणाम. With this holy chant, good morning everybody, and I thank everybody behind this gala event, and thanks especially Ashok sir, Rajiv Ranjan sir, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share the small initiatives that we are doing in my small city. Friends, I represent a very small city of Western Uttar Pradesh. My city is Moradabad, which is famous for the brass work, which is famous for the metal work. So we are faced many small challenges, which I will be discussing in my presentation. And after that, straightway jumping to the subject, I'll show you some glimpses of the new initiatives that we have taken in my city. Moradabad is a small city, spread over 75 square kilometers, very heavily populated. The population density of my city is approx 15,000 per square kilometers, as compared to the national average of 450 or 500. So you can easily understand the pressure on the rivers, pressure on the natural resources of the city. In this slide, you see the pressure of increasing urbanization, increase in the built-up area on the city. My city is flanked from both sides by two important rivers. On the upper side is the river Ramganga, which is an important tributary of river Ganga. And on the lower southern flank, there is a river known as Gagan. The urbanization is increasing at a pace of 4% every year. And as it is evident from this slide, the whatever civilization, urbanization, civil work, building work is happening in the city is at the banks of the rivers only. Because at the heart of the city or inside the city, inside the ancient city, there is very limited space for further development. So whatever development is taking place in my city is pressurizing our rivers. These are the key initiatives. I will be discussing it in the later slides. This is a very sketchy draft. Now I straightway come to the sewer management system. Ironically, Moradabad being an ancient city, it was not having any sewer system. Unfortunately, the sewer was directly flown into the river Ramganga. Under Namami Gange project, we have now planned for complete treatment of the sewers of the city. We have divided the city into 4 zones. We have planned STPs in every zone. One we have already commissioned with 58 MLD capacity. Second of about 25 MLD is in process. It will be commissioned very soon. And about rest 2, we are working on it. We are trying to find suitable land for it. Till then, these are the pictures of the first STP of the city. Through this STP, we are treating 58 MLDs of the water that comes out of the city. Next, we have also established one FSTP, which was not there in my municipal area. It is of 32 KLDs, and every day we are treating fecal sludge through this FSTP. Before we commission STPs in all the zones, we, as an interim measure, we have resorted to the phytoremediation and bioremediation. In these pictures, you can see the wire meshes that have been, put in every polluting drain of the city. There are 24 drains which are meeting Ramganga and Gagan, and which are polluting these rivers very badly. So we have put wire meshes in all these drains. These are few pictures of the bioremediation process. In this slide, we are also doing bioremediation with the help of some bioagents, phytoremediation in other drains. These are few glimpses of the good work that we have done. Under Amrit Sarovar project, we have taken up some 24 ponds which became extinct because of the ever-increasing urbanization in the city. Now we have been able to rejuvenate 4 out of these Amrit Sarovars. On others, we are working. Under IEC activities, we held seminars, we conducted different conferences, and I'm happy to share with you that Laura and my few colleagues, they also participated in these seminars. Since the young minds, the ignited minds are the flag bearers of the ideologies, of the new ideas and the flagship schemes which are need of the hour. So we decided to involve young bloods, students, college students, young students, and we trained them about the flagship schemes and the river rejuvenation project, and we appointed them as brand ambassadors of this project so that they can communicate this message to their school assemblies, They can communicate this message to their surroundings, to their neighborhoods, and a bond can be, a connect can be established between the citizens and the stakeholders of this project. And I think the citizens of the city are the major stakeholders. So time is the limit. Again, jumping to the, these slides speak of Ramganga Chaupal. Yesterday, Saurabh Babu was sharing this with me. We have established this Chaupal in Ramganga area, hiring one building. And I offered Mr. Saurabh Babu to provide a land just at the banks of the river Ramganga so that we can, take it to a step ahead. This is another picture of the Sardar Sarovar. Next is the activity along the Ramganga river. This is the most important segment that I would like to share with all of you. Atal Ghat, under retrofitting of the Ghat area and building new ghats along the banks of the Ramganga so that people can sit here, they can come with their families and they can see the river, they can watch the river and make it a part, and they can accept it as a part of their daily life. Electric crematorium is another initiative that we have taken. On an everyday basis, there was a Purana Moksha Dham, jahan 20 bodies are cremated every day. And one human body takes 5 quintals of wood to completely cremate. That way, we were burning on an average 100 quintals of wood every day to cremate 20 bodies. So we decided to establish, we deliberately selected this place for establishing electric crematorium so that ashes don't go into the rivers and the woods are not burned. This is the proposed biodiversity park. We have identified 214 acres of the land along the banks of the Ramganga, and we are working on it very soon. Maybe in the coming year, we'll be completing it. This is again plantation drive, and this is another very important initiative. जैसा अभी हो रहा था कि धार्मिक आयोजनों के अवसर पर हम नदियों में बहुत सारे रिलीजियस रिचुअलिस्टिक ऑफरिंग्स डालते हैं, प्रवाहित करते हैं। हमने त्योहारों के अवसर पर रामगंगा नदी के उन सभी घाटों पर जहां इस प्रकार के आयोजन होते हैं वहां डेडिकेटेड बिन्स क्रिएट किए हैं और वी रिक्वेस्ट पीपल much ahead of the actual event taking place, and we request them to put their religious offerings into these bins, and from these bins they are taken to the processing site, or they can be used for making incense and other purposes. So this initiative has been very useful. This year we could reduce approx 34 TPD of this waste which comes at the religious times to the river. Abhi very rightly said, Aditya gave a very energetic speech जिसमें उन्होंने कहा कि आसान नहीं है. I'll remind the poetic words of late former Prime Minister Shraddhe Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, who was a staunch advocate of connecting rivers across the cities and across the states. रार नहीं ठानूंगा, हार नहीं मानूंगा, काल के कपाल पर लिखता मिटाता हूँ, मैं गीत नया गाता हूँ.
Thank you, thank you.
Time is very tough, and no doubt we have to write all new definitions, sitting right at the face of this tough time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sanjay. You would never had a problem because lot of people who come to us, all people want to go to Moradabad. I don't know why. What's the attraction for Moradabad? GI said, WF, everybody wants to come to Moradabad and Ramganga. So you are blessed with a lot of funding, but despite that, you have taken a lot of initiatives for Citizen Connect. I have actually visited many times their city, and you wouldn't believe the type of response the people give, and that's all thanks to the wonderful leadership the municipal commissioners are giving it. So thanks a lot. So we'll move to Pune. Most of you have visited the Mulla Mutha river, so I'll request him to cut short his time to 5 minutes, because finance people, they are the most important for us. They are, unless they give money, all of us hawa mein reh jayenge.
Very good morning, everyone. just to give you one fun fact, Mula Mutha river is older than Himalayas, older than Ganges. It is the part of the Sahyadri range, and Sahyadri range, as you know, is older than the Himalayan range. So this river is at least 60 lakh to 6 crore years old. Now, this river transverses across the city. If you look at this thing, there are two rivers, Mula River, Mutha River, both originating in Western Ghats and joining within the city in a place called Sangam Wadi. Sangam, as the name suggests, Sangam Wadi. The total length of the river is 44 kilometers across, it traverses across the city. Now what is the problem statement? I'll come to the problem statement. Why we thought of developing this river? What is the reason we thought of developing this river? I'll skip all this. This is all technical studies which we have done. This is the problem statement. 6 problems primarily. If you look at, it was a dry riverbed at times, it was neglected, accessible, not accessible, there was lack of public amenities, pollution, risk of flooding. This was the problem statement. And to counter this problem statement of 6 problems which we have just listed, we went for...
Vikram, actually just 1 second. This, you can replace this Mula Mutha with any river's name, all these are there.
Almost all rivers have same story. So this is what we thought of solving it by cleaning the river, reducing the flood risk, making rivers more accessible to public, retain water so that 12 months water is perennial, river is perennial, and also improve cities' connectivity to the riverfront. Right now, some of the city has turned its back on the river. All the real estate buildings, सारी buildings का जो back है वो river पे है. किसी भी जगह जाइए दुनिया में riverfront is the most expensive real estate. Unlike Pune or unlike many other cities in the country, it's not desired real estate. अभी की स्थिति देखेंगे तो ऐसी स्थिति है. तो हमने इसको कैसे करना है सोचा. हमने सोचा कि we will not use much of concrete here. We'll try to make it as natural as possible. It should be done as if it's the natural setting for the river. तो हमने इस तरह से बंडिंग करने का प्लान किया, जिसे एम्बैंकमेंट्स बोलेंगे, और उससे पहले हमने 2 कैच ड्रेन्स तैयार की ताकि जो भी सीवर नदी में जाता है पहले वो कैच ड्रेन में आ जाए और फिर वो आगे जाकर STP पे जाए. Right now 400 million liters of sewage every day is going in the river, and we are very thankful to NRCD and Government of India for giving us a 900 crore rupee grant to solve this problem. They are sponsoring the development of 11 STPs which will solve this 400 million liters problem within next 3 years. So we are very thankful for Government of India. So we thought, because Government of India is helping us in cleaning the water of the river, so we should also beautify the river. Because when the water is clean, people want to approach the river, people want to go in the river, near the river, probably do boating, water activities, etc., etc. We should also beautify the river. So we started a new project called the beautification project we just showed you. And for this, we have taken first 9 kilometers to do it. And because 9 kilometers, why? Because again it's a lot of cost involved, and corporations always have this problem of where to put the budget. So 9 kilometers to tackle in the first go, and then slowly we'll add on to this and make it complete 44. In fact, I'll request Government of India if they can give us more funds, we'll do it more quickly. So frequent flooding risk was the biggest problem. So what we did, why was frequent flooding happening? Because low-lying roads alongside the river, low-lying areas alongside the river, which is almost equal to the blue line of the river. Just to clarify what is blue line and red line, blue line is the line where the water floods, has flooded within last 25 years. So the highest level water has reached within last 25 years is the blue line. Highest level water is reached within last 100 years is the red line. No construction is allowed from blue line to the river. Construction is allowed from blue line to the red line, but on stilts. This is the basic blue line, red line idea for people who are not from Maharashtra. So what we did, we thought of increasing the sides and making such embankments. If you can see these embankments, this is what's going to happen. Many of you came in the morning, visited the site, you have seen how the embankment work is going on. This is as natural as is possible. No use of concrete, using embankments by compacting of mud, stones, making some trails so that people can reach near the river. And once the embankment is complete, over the top we have the promenade where there are walking tracks, cycle tracks, gardens. The whole city of Pune will get 44 kilometers length of gardens, 44 kilometers length of cycle tracks, 44 kilometers length of walkways. If you want to do a morning walk, you can start from one end of the city and reach the other end of the city along the river. Such is the beauty of this project. Now, in many places, embankments were not possible because the building is next to it. So we thought there we have to use the retaining wall. Like you can see, which is the urban section as is shown here. The third section is the urban section. Now this is only 13% of the area of the total river, which is very close to the buildings, and in this we have to use this retaining wall. We have tried to minimize the use of concrete, make it more and more in natural setting. This is the current state of river. During the monsoon time it swells up because all this river is fed by the dams. There are 4 dams upstream, and during monsoon time when the dams discharge their water, the river swells up, and then it pollutes, it floods the nearby areas. Now this is a typical section how it will look like. From here to here, that's our objective. Now if you see, we have made sure that there is access to the river also the public, because people want to go near the water, feel the water. And probably we can use in due course boating as a means of transport in the city. With crowding of roads, with so many vehicles coming up, fastest, cleanest and the quickest transport can be through these boats. But that is still 2-3 years away, but we can still plan for that. Access to public was a problem. How to access the river? So we thought of making such cycle tracks, walking tracks. Few of you who were on the site today saw also this thing. There were some walking tracks which you could see. And then how to make it perennial? Water should be there throughout the year. So we proposed barrages. So 7 to 8 barrages across the length of 44 kilometers will make sure that the water stays in the river throughout the 12 months. From here again to here, water is staying in the river for 12 months. Use of barrages across the length of the river, and the distance between each barrage will be 7 to 8 kilometers, so that use of water transport for boats is possible. This is the urban section I was talking about. Very next to the river there are buildings, putting a deep retaining wall so that it's done like that. Then there are a lot of heritage structures alongside the river. Pune is a very historic city, lot of temples, lot of ghats, lot of British time bridges which are very important in Pune's history. All these had to be preserved, and accordingly we planned. Sir, next time we can have yoga here, sir. So when we are having the next, in 2025, when we are having the next meeting of River City Alliance, we propose again Pune city for this meeting. These are the temples, and these temples will do such ghats so that.
11:30 we have to finish.
Sir, it's finished. My presentation is finished. So, work has started on the 9 kilometers, but it's a 44-kilometer long river, and we are slowly trying to make sure that more and more stretches come. Something like this we saw in the morning when a lot of people went to the site. And these embankments which we have built, we will put vegetation like this so that during floods, a lot of these embankments will go under the water. But because of this vegetation, everything will be fine. Everything, because these are able to retain this. These are the walking tracks. We saw this again in the morning. And this is real site pictures, sir. We went today morning. These are the real site pictures. Embankment work is going on. Some sort of access to the rivers is going on. And this sort of plantation is already started. This we saw in the morning. And we are very hopeful that this project will make Pune city the most livable city in the country. It is right now the most livable city. And because of this project, I am sure that this will remain the most livable city in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vikram. Just one or two minutes. So it's the Mulla Mota project, the history of it is, they started since 2014. Many times it came, and Rajiv sir and all had to really struggle to push it into that thing, and then I was lucky to get the project awarded when I came as PD of the NRCD. So the other hat I wear is of the NRCD, as the Namami Gange also. 990 crores, and totally it's about 1,357 crore work project is taken up. The Vikram has shown from here to here, good vision. Probably we'll be able to see that Pune ke achhe din jaldi jaldi aa jayenge. Hopefully that this is a very interesting, because unless you have a vision where you reach, you will not be able to reach the destination. तो मंजिल भी important है, रास्ता भी important है, so that's very important. There is one suggestion I would like to say, that I saw a lot of concrete happening there, some places. So you also said there will be a lot of greenery. So I happen to see a porous concrete here. I don't know, यहाँ पे आप exhibition में लगा हुआ था. Okay, that will be a good thing. So I'm not propagating that that company, but that system is good where the porous concrete can catch the rain and then bring it down. Then your navigation, that's another great concept. With all the traffic jams, the more flyovers you build, the more cars will come in, and it is like that Murphy's law, the cars will fill up the space whichever you get, like the time, the work fills up the time you get. The cars will fill up the space you generate in the road. So navigation would be a very interesting. So like a Venice, probably in Pune we will travel. So I like the statement Vikram said, we had been turning our back to the cities. It was, I hope he had intended no pun in that. We were actually doing that. All the dirt in the sewage was being put in that into the rivers, and it's high time we'll be changing in that. So I thank all the panelists who spoke about their the activities they do it, and modifying the famous lines of Rabindranath Tagore. I hope that whatever dreams which we have presented here today, with beautiful greenery, beautiful river flowing into in our cities, into such a city, let my city, what is that? I forgot. Let my country awake. Oh, sorry. So into such a city, let my city awake. Thanks a lot for the wonderful panelists. 11:30 we are stopping. Half an hour we started late with your permission. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we request for a group photo?
Photo, yes, sir. The last speaker, yes. So I say the most awaited event, financing part.
Thank you to the cities in chair. The session focused on citizen participation and engagement, building flood resilience, importance of geotagging in mapping water bodies, and zero waste events. We now move on to the next session, financing river-related projects and interventions. From funding agencies themselves, we hope this session can enlighten city officials present today
everyone. We now await the pièce de résistance, as we call it, the most awaited section for DHARA 2023. I'd like to welcome the chair today, Ms. Richa Mishra, IDAS. She's a Joint Secretary and Financial Advisor for MOJS. And she's extensive experience in government financing, procurement, and project management in key domains such as water and sanitation, defense, and major infrastructure projects across the country. Our next panelist is Mr. Ho Jun-jung. He is the Deputy Country Director of the Asian Development Bank. Mr. Jung holds a master's degree in business administration from University of Washington and a bachelor's degree in economics from Seoul. He has more than 23 years of professional experience, and including 12 years with the Asian Development Bank. Thereafter, Mr. Alok Suman, who is a Senior Water Resources Management Specialist, World Bank. Dr. Alok Suman is a civil engineer by training with specialization in water and wastewater. And he has a postgraduate diploma in environmental law and policy from New Delhi. And the core expertise in policy making, centralized and decentralized service delivery. We also have with us online today Mr. Tushar Arora. He is a Senior Water Resources Management Specialist at the World Bank. Senior Financial Sector Specialist at the World Bank. And he has a wide range of financial sector development programs, including digital finance inclusion, bond market development, and infrastructure finance. And finally, we also have with us Mr. Kiran Avadhanula. He is a Senior Sector Specialist with the KFW. Kiran is currently having 2 decades of experience, specifically focused on urban development, climate resilience, urban reforms, and municipal infrastructure. Thank you to the chair and the esteemed panelists. I'd like to invite the chair for a brief word or two on the session, and then we'll move ahead with the brief presentation on what it's all about. Madam, please. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Extremely delighted to be part of this deliberation, the importance of which cannot be exaggerated in today's context. Its importance is evident from the fact that water as a resource has been defined as a public good. Ironically, however, the same definition leads to it being undervalued and therefore underpriced. There are challenges which are very, very specific to water in terms of when we talk about financing of the sector. And again, that has got to do with the nature of the commodity that we're talking about. Water projects typically tend to be, as we all know, heavily capital intensive. Returns are slow to come by, and therefore upfront funding requirement is tremendous. It is also not very easy to monetize the benefits which are there but cannot really be, concretized in very, very definite terms. There is also the risk of focusing on the financial flows rather than the holistic economic benefits, leading thereby to a tendency to focus on projects where revenues are easy and quicker to come by rather than at the cost of, I would say, projects which have a longer lead time, have greater relevance perhaps, and also most importantly, greater positive externalities. So in this context, therefore, water remains largely a government-funded initiative. However, all of the discussion that we've had since yesterday has told us one thing very clearly, that the scope and the magnitude of the order in front of us is so tremendous that no single source of funding, be it the central government or the state government, can on its own meet the requirements that we foresee as of now. And therefore, it is important that we talk of a scenario where we are looking at multiple agency, multiple sources of funding solutions. There is already talk of green bonds, there is talk of users paying, polluters paying, beneficiaries paying, then whatnot. And going forward, these are the concepts that we need to explore and actually implement on ground for all these initiatives to see the light of day. With this brief background, speakers that we have today, and thank you very much for your time to come out today and talk and share your experiences on this very, very relevant issue with all of us. And with this brief introduction, would you like to just first have the brief presentation? So we have a small presentation on what is it that we are trying to cover in this topic. And thereafter, once that is through, we would request each of these speakers to briefly in about 8 to 10 minutes speak on their respective domains. And thereafter, we can have an interactive session. Stop, Sumit.
Thank you. We all know briefly why we're here today, DHARA, River City Alliance. I think we have spoken extensively, deliberated throughout yesterday and most of today. We'll just very briefly go down to the second slide, please, where we are talking about what is the need and the journey. This started way back with the development of the frameworks, which led to the first URMP, the Urban River Management Plan for the city of Kanpur. And along with it, several knowledge verticals and products which were developed in collaboration with the key partners within NIUA and others by MCG. Hence, the target that today we have set for this year, including the Honorable Minister's vision as well, that how do we now lead into action? And that's why we're here today. We have a target of around 11 URMPs, 11 odd URMPs scheduled for this year. And the interventions from these URMPs, ultimately how that is going to benefit the city, the people, and most of all, affect the river and the ways in which we are implementing the river management plan. Thank you. And that's fine. Yeah, so broadly, if you see, this is just a snapshot of the Kanpur URMP, where we have the total project interventions of around 57 crores, factor around 3 core areas, environmental, economic, and social. And this is where I think, the later on down the line, where we need support, as the chair pointed out rightly, no amount of interventions from the state and center would accomplish everything we need as much as we can, and in the process to make it self-sustainable. So briefly, these are the key project areas which Kanpur developed, and each URMP would be unique to the city, because that's not a one-size-fits-all policy that's applied. It's based, there are certain principles which are there, but the interventions would be realistic and time-bound, measurable, where each URMP would be also have the capacity to underline the key areas of impact for the river. These are the 4 areas primarily where we are looking at, association with key agencies from the funding arena, specifically in terms of the plan, the URMP, the preparation process, in terms of the DPR preparation for the project interventions, and lastly, the core areas of directly implementation, not just preparation of a plan just to keep it there, but to implement the plan in a holistic manner. So primarily these are the areas where we'll be talking later on. I'd like to invite now Mr. Jong for his presentation, which from the ADB's perspective. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting ADB to this session. Indeed, the session topic couldn't be more relevant to ADB operation in India at this point. Well, to give a context, let me explain to you our key strategy at the 2 levels. At the corporate level, we have a mid-term strategy, what we call Strategy 2030. So in this slide, you can see 7 specific operation priorities, out of which I suppose 2 OPs are relevant to discussion. These are tackling climate change and making cities more livable. Both OPs guide us to give a special focus on integrated water resources management for urban resilience and disaster risk management. These are very important as we have an ambitious climate finance target of committing $100 billion between 2019 and 2030 on a cumulative basis. We also have a country-level strategy named Country Partnership Strategy, or CPS for short. It is basically to operationalize the Strategy 2030 for each developing country, including India. Actually, we are currently finalizing the new CPS, guiding our India operation over the next 5 years. And this is a quick preview of the new CPS. It will be approved by board soon, sometime in May. And these present 3 main pillars: accelerating structural transformation, deepening socio-economic inclusiveness, and catalyzing climate resilient growth. And we went further to identify potential areas of engagement and investment under each pillar, as you can see here. In case of climate change, specifically, our operation will be anchored in 6 key areas, including climate adaptation and disaster risk management. Thereby, riverbank erosion control, river stabilization, flood management, irrigation modernization, and coastal protection will be core areas of our strategic engagement going forward in connection with the climate adaptation and DRM. On the other hand, our support to urban development is under the first pillar. The idea is that urbanization and industrialization should go hand in hand. So our aim is to converge urbanization with industry, skills, logistics, and energy interventions, primarily to make cities the engine of growth. We intend to help develop trunk infrastructure around growth centers and also support urban planning, TOD, value capture financing, and township planning as a critical instrument. Likewise, we support integrated urban development approach covering water supply, sanitation, sewerage, drainage, waste management, urban mobility, and so on. So in a way, river management is part of water resources management in the context of climate resilient urban development. But we may say it would not be a river-centric urban planning or development approach at this point. Now at micro level, let me briefly share one of a relevant project named Bagmati River Basin Improvement Project in Nepal as a case. The 120 million investment project is still under implementation. In Nepal, Bagmati is a very sacred river with cultural, economic, social, and environmental importance. But the unplanned expansion of Kathmandu city put tremendous pressure on the water resources of the river, including river pollution and flooding. So this project aims to improve water security and resilience to potential climate impact in the river basin. We are pursuing both structural and non-structural approaches to address this issue. First, it will finance the construction of upstream water storage, riverbed weirs, riverbank beautification, and community initiatives to improve the river environment. It is also financing river corridor development with walkways, cycle track, and urban green belts. Apart from that, to ensure the sustainability, it supports building a river basin organization with adequate capacity for integrated water resources management. Actually, this project is the first attempt in Nepal to apply the concept and principles of the integrated water resources management. And this photo in this slide shows the difference before and after the project. As you can see, the project covers riverbank beautification, cultural heritage restoration, such as temple, recreation trail, and greenbelt, thereby improving the overall urban landscape along the Holy River. We are also doing a similar project in India along the Brahmaputra River in Assam, including river stabilization. This slide shows how the landscape of Brahmaputra River is changing through the project implementation. Now, the key question is, what is our financing plan to support urban river management, which is the key topic of today's session. First, ADB intends to commit 20 to 25 billion resources for India in the next 5 years in total, of which at least 40% aims to finance projects that advance climate actions. As such, we target 8 to 10 billion of projects in the new CPS period for climate financing, including climate adaptation and disaster resilience. It will be supported by two wings of ADB operation, sovereign and non-sovereign, including PPP structure. Furthermore, we can invite other development partners, providing more concessionary financing terms than ADB, such as Clean Technology Fund, Green Climate Fund, and other bilateral donor agencies. Such a blend financing will surely help our client reduce the overall borrowing cost. We can also provide various financing options catering to diverse needs of our client. You can select a conventional investment project loan. You may prefer a budget support loan with policy actions attached, what we call policy-based lending. You can also combine both policy loan and investment project loan. You may choose result-based lending modality, linking loan disbursement to a predetermined set of target indicators rather than expenditures. We can also provide project readiness financing facility to support project development activities, including feasibility study, DPR, detailed engineering design, and so on. Last but not least, we can also provide technical assistance for capacity building on a grant basis. So, what is special about ADB? This is a quick summary of ADB's core values as the region's leading solution bank. First, we offer multiple financing options in a flexible manner. For instance, we can offer Japanese yen or euro lending beside US dollar. There are also other flexibilities, including interest conversion and also currency conversion during the project implementation period. Second, again, ADB can leverage blended financing with more concessionary co-financiers, lowering the overall financing cost. Third, we intend to provide integrated solution to complex development challenges, like integrated urban river management through one ADB approach and synergy of finance, knowledge, and partnerships. Fourth, ADB can create a sector-specific fund through financial institutions to own land to relevant projects in state. For example, we are currently in discussion with a state-owned financial institution about establishing a healthcare infrastructure fund dedicated to supporting secondary, tertiary healthcare service providers, especially in tier 2 and 3 towns. Likewise, we may consider a similar approach to supporting river-centric urban management. Last but not least, ADB can provide various finance plus elements through TA support, ranging from upstream knowledge work to capacity building to bringing global best practices, institutional reforms, project development, and much more. So in closing, we are ready to provide the necessary support to our clients, particularly at the state and municipal level, building on ADB's core value propositions that I presented. Given our vast experience in urban sector and water resources management, we may work together with the Ministry of Jal Shakti, NMCG, and MOUA to advance river-centric urban planning exercise and holistic urban river management with the rivers as the central theme. Now, under the new CPS, we are going to build a long-term partnership with the select states, specifically MP, UP, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, and Assam. I noted that many RCA members coincide to be part of these select states. So we wish we could work together with these cities in these select states going forward. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Jeong, for a very, very informative presentation, and I'm sure all that you've laid out in your presentation is music to the ears of everybody who's sitting here and thinking of ways of how to go forward on the initiatives that have already been thought through. So thanks a lot. I would now request the next speaker, Mr. Alok Suman. Okay, sorry. Mr. Kiran.
Okay, good morning and good afternoonish to everyone. Thank you NMCG and the organizers for inviting us here, and I would like to thank Ms. Richa to chair this session. Now, we have heard there are a lot of plans. Yesterday, the whole day we saw that there are a number of plans, but where and how do we implement the plans? I've taken this as rather non so conventional approach, because we are always cities, when we are looking at it, we do not know how to finance it. And the municipal commissioner here was saying, where do I get the next tranche of funds from? Is there going to be an Amrit 3.0? Do we have Swachh Bharat mission? Are we guaranteed of some kind of a mechanism that if we take up something like this, there is an assurity of financing? And that is a point that I want to focus today on in my presentation. Again, a bit of selling of KFW. We are, unlike ADB, we are a bilateral agency with a very focused attention in India. We have three agreed areas of cooperation: sustainable urban development, where we finance urban infrastructure, which consists of sanitation, solid waste. We also do climate resilience infrastructure, including stormwater management, and demand management based water supply systems, not just expansion of water supply systems. And we have roughly around 8,000 crores of annual commitments, of which around 2,000 crores are allocated to the classical urban sector. There are some projects of 1.5 billion or 11,000 crores worth projects that are under execution. I would like to again thank Mr. Juan. There is no particular difference between how they operate or World Bank or us. We are all under the same umbrella. We are all agencies that do predominantly similar financing. The only thing is we have different modus operandis of working with the state governments and all. For instance, ADB, KFW and World Bank is financing a financial intermediary in Tamil Nadu, which is down there, Tamil Nadu Urban Development Fund, again pulling in all the funds and giving loans to the urban local bodies. So similar structures. So again, but kindly remember, there are all these plans and all, but all the financing agencies are looking for bankable projects. Bankable projects are not the projects that we just are doing DPRs. Nobody is looking for DPRs. DPRs are the beginning point, but we are looking for a systemic approach. We are looking for holistic solutions. DHARA, the basis of holistic actions and holistic solutions, is a basis for any one of us to finance. Increasing climate resilience is a core, because while we have been doing traditional infrastructure financing, we feel climate resilience has to be integrated into the system of development of the plans and the way we are designing. So that is to be mainstream. Then we also have to integrate reforms, because it's not just the infrastructure or investment, it is also the governance mechanisms. So we look at that. Then we have capacity enhancement, and also value addition and technological innovations. Because, for run-of-the-mill financing, we all know there is plethora of financing available. But if you would like to access finance from KFW or any of the agencies, we are looking for value-added components, which you will generally are unable to access the normal financing for. And when we are looking for financing, we are also looking for what we call is a DPR plus, where we are talking about social, environmental, life cycle costs, what kind of options have been done, is this the best solution that is available. I really liked the example of Aurangabad. He has very categorically mentioned that we don't need finances for everything. So that kind of option analysis has to be done, whether this is the best way forward in doing it. Likewise, we have sustainability and climate impacts of the projects have to be assessed, and we should have clear point of clarity in approvals. As DG was saying in the morning, land is a critical issue. We have to address approvals and land issues upfront. And these are all the points that any financing agency is looking for before even discussing the project. There might be, as I said, there are a lot of plans, but is the plan implementable and is it bankable? These are some of the elements. Kindly make a note in your system. So, in terms of now, just yesterday we have had lot of learnings, even this morning. Water has been neglected. We have institutional challenges in terms of how and what do we do. One size doesn't fit all. And then we are still trying to address the basic infrastructure. But when do we move to the next phase of this? Climate resilience, as I said, is an important element we should understand. And this 133:1, kindly remember Colonel Palmer, if you're here. So he very clearly pointed out for every dollar invested, there was a return of $133. That is the return of investment. That means there are tangible, intangible, but remember everything that we are going to invest is going to return to us, so we will have to take that approach. Sorry, I keep on going to the... Okay, so now let us just, I'll spend 3 more minutes on this. We have RCA as a very good platform. As I think Mr. Chakravarti was saying, we have all these things consolidated. We have a lot of information. We have all the plans. But like he was saying, I was also looking at the Kanpur example. There are these projects and all that have been identified and where the funding will be sourced. So there are some standard sources of funding that you can already avail. There is this Amrit, Swachh Bharat Mission, lot of others, 14th and 15th Financial Commission grants and all. So where you are getting grants, there is no way that you should borrow or try to borrow loans. But there are certain financing that is not available currently. One is some of the elements that are not tried somewhere, and currently the other sectors where there is no traditional definition under the flagship programs. So that is where we will have to identify those kind of projects which cannot be financed under this. And when we come to the implementation of the URMPs, do we implement everything that is covered under this? Do we have to access all the financing through loans or any other sources? Can we do the convergence approach? Can we do kind of prioritization among the interventions, because not all have the same kind of impacts? So we'll have to think through as to how the plan has to be implemented. It has to be implemented in phases and based on its priority. And also in terms of how do we go, we should be very clear as to what projects can have a scalable approach. One, like Pune Commissioner was saying this morning, we have a 9-kilometer stretch that they are going to experiment. There will be some learnings, as other commissioners were also saying in the morning. We have lessons while we are, so if we do everything at a stretch, and if we are not doing kind of a piloting or as a part of the stretch, we will lose these learnings. So it is very important that we are doing some kind of a pilots even within the infrastructure investments. And then we should have components that have not been implemented earlier, so we try and do some experiments in this. And also, it should obviously, at the end of the day, lead to better quality of life. Now, in terms of the institutional mechanism, there was one slide Mr. Chakravarti has given as to we have the capacity building, training, resources. Now, I think it is the time for us to move to what we call is institutionalizing this mechanism. If we are 107 today and we are going to be 250, maybe 1,000, maybe somebody was more pragmatic that RCA as a structure could be for all the statutory urban local bodies. If so, can we make it more an institutional mechanism? Can we have moving from plans to implementation, we need an RCA pact. RCA pact is not anything, it's more like a legal covenant between the participating city and the ownership, the so-called ministries of Jal Shakti and Mahua, that if I am part of this, in addition to getting access to the technical support, preparation of this, we also are going to be assured of some financing. If that kind of a MOU is drafted and integrated into the system, then I think this will then be more incentive for the urban local bodies to participate, prepare plans and ensure that they are going to get the funding. Now the other thing is, as Mr. Young has said, we can create a financial intermediary, we can call it whatever, infrastructure development fund or whatever the name it is, which will have a corpus. Initially the government of India can put in some corpus, but then to replenish the corpus, all the financing agencies have a lot of avenues to build into the corpus. Once the corpus is created, there could be an asset management company professionally run that will assess the projects, assess the requirements of the project and do a technique. Then in addition to this, some of the elements that he talked about is the project preparation. We all cut short on the project preparation time, but project preparation needs at least 2 to 3 years of time because the investigations, technical elements that have to be taken. So we need to invest the amount of time that is required to have what we call again is a bankable project. It is not the general project that we are looking at. Then once we have an idea and a concept, we have to projectize this. What kind of components have to be projectized? How do we projectize them? And then we create a series of bankable projects and then we source financing from this dedicated fund. And of course there is also implementation support and troubleshooting should also be part of this instrument that we are creating. Now again while we have been doing, as I was saying, that we have been doing the collaboration through the fund structures and financial intermediaries, I think maybe it is also time for us. Yesterday we heard a lot of beautiful technical, we have GIZ here, we have WRI, we have a lot of agencies who are supporting the cities in preparing all of these plans. So there is a TA collaborative that needs to be formed. There is a financial assistance collaborative that could be formed. How can these be worked out? How do we ensure that these will move forward? Do we have a matchmaking? Do we have state allocations, as you were saying? Maybe some financing agencies take on some states. Or how is this to be done? I'm not giving any solutions here, but just trying to ideate here. And how do we converse the thoughts? Should this be a competition of sort? And how can we really ensure that this is moving in the right direction? So those are some of the thoughts that I wanted to leave. There is a need to deliberate. This is never a solution or something, but we are all here to help. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kiran, for putting the focus back on where we started initially in the deliberations, that is a systematic approach, resilient proposals, sustenance of interventions, value added and technological innovations. So I think he could not have been more categoric and more direct in laying bare the requirement or the prerequisites that the funding agencies across the board here look for in a proposal. I'm sure the inputs that you have provided will declutter this issue in the minds of those who are dealing with the subject here. Thank you very much. I now invite Mr. Alok Suman to please share his thoughts.
Good morning, good afternoon, and I will thank all NMCG and the organizers to inviting the World Bank to discuss the funding mechanism where we can help the RCA or the urban city. Right now, the bank is associated with the India for last 75 years, even just after the independence, and we have completed 75th year last year only, and more than 3 trillion of loan has come to India for development works. So the agenda for RCA, River City Alliances of a different city now from 25 to 105, we have reached out. bank is supporting in all sectors. First, we have to identify what are the issues we have to tackle under the RCA. Not only the RCA, bank is also supporting the other ministries which is related to the water, like groundwater, drip irrigation, or the minor irrigations, rural areas, urban areas, the dam rehabilitations. So I don't have any presentation here, so I think we should be more interactive with the ULBs, what is their demand, how they want to interact or want the association with the bank or international funding. Based on the demand, then like Mr. Kiran told that we have some framework to identify the capability of selecting the funding mechanism for that. Our previous country director always told that don't fix the pipe, fix the institution who fix the pipes. So instead of just lending the money, you have to develop the institution capacity which can deliver your goal, motto, or the river cleaning program, like our agenda is here. So unfortunately, my colleague Tushar Arora is not able to join because of some technical glitch, but I will try to answer your question, or shall I propose our, if you have anyone from.
What we could do is that, so do you have a question? Please. Is it?
Very good morning. ULBs have this problem of financing over a long term. A 7-year, 10-year, 15-year may not be sufficient for a ULB as a period. We are looking something beyond 20 years at a lowest coupon available. So is there any product in which we can avail this thing? A long-term finance, more than 20 years at a coupon price?
See, the financing can be limited as per the country framework loan agreement with the DA and the World Bank. Only the thing for the ULB, you have to give the sustainability of that. Right now, you can start with the capex works and the opex part of that. If you have everything on a single contract, normally if we discuss about the gap 1, gap 2, only the building and O&M was not available for the ULB to maintain it. It was failed. But the long-term association can be happen, but the maximum limit normally we come to 6 years, 7 years only.
Okay, we could actually pass your question around to the other speakers who are here. Would you like to take that? Would you like to repeat your question?
Yeah. My question is that if we are looking for a finance for our project in corporations, means ULBs, we are looking for a longer tenure to repay back. Normally the products available are for, like he said, 7 years, 6 years, 10 years. We are looking for something at least 20 years or beyond, something like that. Is there a product available like that?
May I go first?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think that is a very important question. Somebody says that financing is not a problem, but actually it is a big deal. Particularly, to the Secretary of Finance Department of all the states. Whenever we open the discussion about ADB's financing support to the key development projects, they usually ask us about the financing terms, like you do. So again, our financing terms is quite concessionary, as you may know. We provide a very low interest rate with more than 20 years tenures for the repayment. But again, as I mentioned in my presentation, we can also invite other development partners or trust fund or co-financiers that can provide much more concessionary financing terms than ADB. For instance, as you may know, my home country, Korean government, has joined India operation as a brand new development partner. They usually provide less than 1% concessionary interest rate over 25 years, or in special circumstances, 30 years of tenure. So we can invite this kind of, very special and very concessionary bilateral donor agencies or country as a co-financier to provide the much more concessionary financing terms to our clients than, standalone ADB loan project.
Yeah, nothing much to add. It is, as he said, there is a direct lending through the funding agencies or creation of a corpus. So if we have a corpus, the control, the demands and necessities could be customized. But if you are directly doing a financing through ADB or KFW, they come with, say, a stipulated time of 15, 20 years. Maybe if there is some IDA, maybe World Bank can give up to 30, 40 years. But I think now India is moving out of the IDA situation. So there are all this. But the structures that we implement, as he was saying, is what kind of instrument do we have? Because once we have the corpus, it is like a rotational fund. If you all remember, in the NIUA also there was a proposal that some of the funds should be kept under a pool of rotational funds, but that never happened. But once we have this corpus, then things can be customized. Some cities might require only a smaller amount for 5 years, that could be customized. Some cities, but 5 years and say 20 crore is not at all an investment that any of the financing agencies can work with. But this fund structure can definitely help those kind of cities for various tenures and various kinds of requirements. It can be customized to the needs of the cities. I'll stop here.
I will add it here. I think you are asking for repayment of the ULV, right? So repayment can be a longer period. I just tell about the loan lending period, where once the loan is sanctioned and your execution works. That is limited to 6 to 7 years and depend upon the project. But lending can be 25 years, 30 years or 40 years based on the DA agreement with the Government of India and the bank. Yeah. And secondly, not only we are just giving the water sector, the under Ganga 2 we already financing Ganga 1 which was the 600 million loan, and now we are working on it, giving the loan for 400 millions under Ganga Namami Gange program, so which cover everything starting from your institutional development, DPR preparation, conceptualization, creation of your STP, pond rejuvenation, all aspect can be covered into that. Only thing is the point of notice is there, within the loan amount period you have to implement that project and avail that loan. Otherwise it will be a cancellation part of that. Yeah. Thanks.
I hope that satisfies your question. It does. Okay. So good. So we now are clear that there is a basket of instruments which can be further customized to meet the requirement of individual project financing. And I think these are the options rather than the stage options that we should be exploring more and more as we go into very niche sort of financing proposals for the RCA. Any more questions then? This is your opportunity. Please make the most of it. It's seldom that you will have all three together on a stage at the same time. Yeah, okay, if you don't have any questions, then I think I will have to make good use of the opportunity that I have. Would you have any specific examples of river-centric projects that you're currently looking at in the country? They may not have reached any finalization, but projects that you are still exploring or are in discussion with, I think it will be useful for our participants here to gain from that knowledge.
Yeah, so only just 2 examples. One is as part of the Namami Gange, the STPs have been constructed. So we are financing the sewer networks, as yesterday somebody was saying. The sewer networks are being financed in Haridwar and Rishikesh. Likewise, we are now doing a riverfront development and integrated urban infrastructure project in Rishikesh, which is a combination of what we saw today in Pune, something like a riverfront development, more sustainable and all, developing their ghats and also engaging in decongestioning of the city. So those kind of interventions are happening. And of course, we have lot of STPs and C1 networks being laid along the Narmada River in MP. So that is what is our imprint. And on the climate resilience part, we are financing integrated stormwater management, where yesterday we have heard about 3-4. One is the aquifer recharge, one is about the what we call water body rejuvenation, what is the grey infrastructure. We have an integrated approach there where we are financing the whole basin amongst all of this. So that is how we are doing it.
Well, for ADB, during my presentation, I have already shared the relevant projects in Nepal, Bagmati River Improvement Project, and also Brahmaputra River, channel stabilization projects in Assam in India. So again, let me highlight that ADB wants to put what we call finance plus elements ahead of the financing. Financing is important, but as a development bank, as a solution bank, we put more emphasis on the finance, plus elements to our clients. That is the reason why we provide the integrated solution through the synergy of finance and knowledge and partnerships, bringing the global best practice in these areas. So we hope we will be able to continue to work closely with our key client at the state level and municipal level in terms of river management projects going forward.
Yeah, as a bank, we are financing almost each state in India. Right now, we have the flood mitigation for the Brahmaputra in Assam, and we also working on Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra. It's not directly a river-centric program, but they all city most of having their issues with the water problem, maybe pollution, maybe flooding or a drought. So each aspect we are trying to address, and one of the biggest program we are working for 11 states under Namami Gange program since 2011, and where the institution having a very small capacity in numbers, but now I think more than 250 persons are working with the NMCG with the help of consultant and their own staff. Thanks.
So as part of your engagement with these projects, am I audible now? Is that okay now? Yeah, okay. So as part of your engagement, I'm sure you've come across certain good practices, particularly in terms of revenue generation and making these interventions self-sustaining in the long term. Would you be in a position to share some of these experiences in case you don't have them from the country, anywhere outside which may be of relevance to the the participants here today? Any good examples, any good practices in this regard? If you could share, I think that would be really useful.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, there are a couple of issues in this. While, when we are, as Mr. Young was saying, when we are investing into this, we are always looking at the sustainability of how the finances are going to be done. And we kind of take an undertaking from the urban local body or the state that this is going to be maintained sustainably and all. So as part of that analysis, we look at what kind of revenue generation potential it is there. Like for example, riverfront definitely has a lot of potential to generate some money. Like, somebody was saying they're earning 10,000 rupees per day only for boating and other recreational activities. So there are a lot of avenues that are available. It is the issue of a political decision that they will have to implement this, and we have the public good as a concept, but we are always shy in charging the money. While there is a willingness to pay, there is no willingness to charge. Unless we don't have this concept of willingness to charge, none of the projects will go in further.
Yeah. Actually, there is nothing much that I can add to his statement. Yes, particularly with respect to the urban infrastructure-related projects, financing sustainability is always the issues. Actually, that is the reason why the development bank like ADB is expected to play a very important role in providing, concessionary and with a long tenure financing product to our client so that they will not be financially troubled in the short term and medium term period. And also we are trying to explore the possibility of PPP structure in the urban infrastructure service lending through our OPPP, Office of PPP department in our HQ department. That is the reason why I keep emphasizing what we call one ADB approach. Whenever we start engaging our client, we usually invite a non-sovereign department as well to the discussion with client so that we can explore the possibility of innovative financing solutions beyond the sovereign lending. With respect to this issue, we are also emphasizing what we call domestic or municipal resources mobilization as a way to tackle this kind of financing sustainability issues. And that is also part of what we call finance plus elements through the integrated solution from ADB point of view.
Yeah, in India, normally the charging from the public is not a problem, but problem is the political willingness. I will iterate with Mr. Kiran that unless until we have a willingness to charge, we cannot collect the money from the public. So in bank loan or any international funding, they always look for the sustainability of the asset they created for a long term. Now, not only the loan period, but the life cycle of that one. Normally when we prepare the project, they show the numbers that it will sustain after 5 years. The payback period may be 10 years from the intervention of ULBs and all. But parallelly, we have to make the discussion, IC activity with the public, whosoever they are using that facility in future, then we can consider that can be a sustainable, and it should be done in a holistic manner with all participation, stakeholder participation.
Thank you. For the benefit, I'm sure most of us, at least some of us here, would be aware of the recent success of a public issue of a municipal bond in the country, the Indore Municipal Corporation. And I think on day one itself, 5.42 times oversubscribed. So that is the way forward, and I think increasingly our ULBs have to think of more and more such options, and this one particularly shows that it is possible. It is possible. Okay, one final question, though you've touched upon that in your presentation very clearly. How do the ULBs make their proposals attractive and more credit-worthy for your consideration, if I may put it that way? How do they go about designing, and what is it that you could reiterate in terms of your expectations over and above what, of course, you've already highlighted?
Ma'am, see, one thing is going beyond whatever 5-7 points that has been mentioned. One is the fiscal sustainability of the ULB. Like you said, ma'am, Indore, the whole point of bond issue and all we have been discussing from 1993 Ahmedabad bond issue, we are always stuck there. But are the urban local bodies' fiscal situation so good that they can raise the bonds? Because, when we and if you saw one of the points that I made is, see, now the government of India has recently created what we call is a interest-free loan to the states. Can we have an interest-free loan to the urban local bodies? It is not that, they have to, it is to inculcate the habit of repayment and bringing in the fiscal discipline in the urban local bodies. I think that if I were to give one choice, then fiscal discipline in urban local bodies is one element that we are looking at.
Well, in case of ADB, as you may know, we don't provide the loan directly to ULB or municipal corporation level. We provide the financing support definitely through the state government. So at the end of the day, the proposal from ULB or municipal corporation may need to be attractive to the state government first. Actually, that is the reason why we also provide some technical assistance behind the scene to our end clients, ULB and municipal corporation, to ensure the readiness of the project, the readiness of proposal. I mentioned during my presentation, we have sort of project readiness financing facility products, which provide all kinds of necessary support to developing the project and preparing the project in the first place. So maybe if ULB or municipal corporation are interested in developing some good and attractive project proposal, you may approach us to discuss about availing of this kind of project financing, readiness financing facility. Yeah, definitely through the state government. Pardon?
For help assistance with project.
Yeah, definitely. Again, yes, this is basically to provide the funding support at the end of the day. Again, this financing support will be done through the state governments. So it would be crucial for us to get the concerned state on board in the first place, even in the project development stage.
So far my knowledge goes, I have understood that no ULB or corporation has no right to directly communicate World Bank or any other bank. Correct. Through state bank, state of government of West Bengal or any other state, we have to go through the state bank. Right. Yes. So what is the meaning of this for the development of ULB or corporation?
Sir, this is under the constitution, sir. There is no sub-sovereign lending as of now. So the states cannot borrow. While domestic borrowing is allowed, but for the external borrowing, there is ECB which some of the states are borrowing. But currently the development finance is only a sovereign lending. That is, of course, there are sub-sovereign lendings directly with the financial intermediaries, but urban local bodies currently do not have. And that is where what Madam has said, the issue of bonds and all would be one avenue to raise revenues, because if all we are looking at is to raise revenues for the urban local bodies, there are various mechanisms. Direct lending is not possible, but yes, maybe in future we have some mechanisms that we will have.
Sir, I want to know something more. We are urgently required to develop the ULB or corporation. For planning must be done from the end of the ULB or corporation. What is the process? Government does not, if the government does not require the plant, the way we shall improve the ULB or corporation?
Would you?
Yeah, actually the bank support or they have the association with the state directly, but through the DEA, through the Government of India, they can directly take the loan, but it will be all routed through the Government of India. They can associate it with the bank or a multilateral bank directly. For that concept, we have to give the request, what type of activity you want to do, the project, what are the things. Once it will come through the DEA, then we will have a one-to-one discussion with the ULB or the state or the city. Then we will develop a greater program, what kind of requirement you have.
I think that it is not the proper scope for development of the ULB or corporation.
We can.
Sir,
It is very tough process. What are you telling?
No, we've taken note of your points, and this is a debate which is not going to end in this one session. So I think we should now focus on the time, and we are running out of time. I'll just quickly thank the speakers today for their laying out the expectations of the banks and the financial institutions here in terms of project proposals. The idea of a RCA Pact and the infrastructure development fund. These are both, ideas worth consideration and, of course, greater analysis. But thank you for sharing that and leaving that with us today. On that note, Sumit, can I request you to please take over?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair, and esteemed panelists. That's wonderful insights regarding the URMP and the way forward. I'd like to request the chair panelists for a group photograph, please, very quickly. Lunch, just for information, is on the ground floor today, not upstairs, please. Thank you. I'm just saying lunch, not today is not now is not the lunch break, but just for information, I was told.
I'm so sorry, it's not lunchtime yet. But yeah, that's just for your information. Thanks, Sumit, and thank you all the panelists and speakers for such a wonderful round. I'm sure many cities will be benefiting from it. Can I have your attention for just a brief moment before we break for tea? So we will now break for tea in just like 2 minutes. The next session will resume at 1 p.m. Half an hour bola gaya, mujhe time lagega. But before we move to the next session, I have a couple of announcements to make. To accommodate maximum learning experience here, we've divided the further agenda into 2 parallel breakout sessions. This room itself that you see will be divided into 2 sections. We'll have a divider here. The room on the left, this side, will be ballroom part A. The room there will be ballroom part B. Since all of it will be reshuffled facing that side, you might want to take your luggage and your stuff outside for a while, else our people will keep it on the tables there itself. Ballroom A will have breakout session 1, this one, Inclusive Riverfront Development, organized by Center for Inclusive Development of NIUA. Ballroom 2, that side, will have breakout session 2, Solid Waste Management, organized by Waste and Resources Vertical at NIUA. You may now pick and choose the session you want to attend. We can break for lunch, for tea, sorry, and we will reconvene at 1 p.m. Thank you.